Shubor nakaslem jong unongsan Hima.
Menteri Rangba Gejala ula pentikna baka Sorkar kamdon kanu ke Jingthmu ban Pynduh iki skul deficit ni ban kini no iki skul. Henry ke Jingthmu ka Sorkar kalong ban yakren ban snap ni ke Jingpen sngo jong ke skul. Ulai thu ba kijat skul ba pher kiwan ban kerpat hala ki jong ki jing kerpat jong ki naga Sorkar kumtau loong bakan ye ka pensyam jing ka Sorkar bakan yo ya karai ka ban penyaringkat lang ya baro ki skul. Ulai thu baki don ki skul ki bawan ban kerpat ka Sorkar bakan shimtino ya kita ki skul bat ki don pat ki skul ki bakerpat ka Sorkar ban penne bet kum ka skul deficit ye ki kumta uloong ba ban penbet ya kani ka Sorkar kala khot ban yakren ya phliu jingmut bat kinong yalam skul bat ha kani ka jingakren lawan ra ka Meghalaya education grant Banyakren Henry uloong balada ki skul kimmon ya kani ka Jingthmu ka Sorkar kanumde jubor ula ben rab ba ka mek kamde ka baladep ban pentre kam Henry ka de tang ban wanra banyakren bat ban shong ha ka jingakren laki pediang nik pediang ya kata Henry ula banjur baka Sorkar kamshum dan kata ka Jingthmu ban Pynduh no iki skul deficit ni ban kini no iki skul Henry ka Sorkar ka snap ya karai jong ki skul ya kini Menteri Rangba ula kren ha ka kenta kali jingkeli bala kali da uba arden Basai moj UMLA ka VPP na Nongkrem constituency hapo ying dorbar ha ka dorbar senrai kabalayat san sngi menta ka sngi ka khat arterik unai luar arja husan.
So why I'm asking this question, sir, because in the process of implementing Meghalaya education grant, I was told by many heads of institutions that it seems the plan of the government seems to do away with the deficit school system, where they ask the schools to be provincialized or else you cease to get the grant from the government. So that amounts to doing away with deficit school system. So may I know whether the government is in that move to do away with all the deficit system? Because I know that there are only few ad hoc schools, deficit colleges, that are willing to be provincialized. But the majority of these schools are not willing. So in the case of their rejection to the proposal of the government, what will happen to the future of these schools?
Though the minister has already replied, sir, I take this opportunity to clarify this very, very sensitive issue on the floor of the House. So the government's intention is not to disturb anybody. We would want status quo to continue. But from different schools, different demands keep coming to us. So there are different organizations and associations and schools that come up with one request. Then in that same category, there's another group of schools who come up with another request. And therefore, it's a very complicated situation for us to be able to come out with one solution that will fit everybody. As clearly mentioned, there are some schools who have asked us to provincialize, to actually take over those schools. And government should take over, and they've written to us and informed to us. And on the other hand, there are those schools who are very clear that they want the deficit pattern to continue. And in that process, sir, as we always do, sir, we have been very, very clear in all issues that we have been facing as a government, that we believe in dialogue. We believe in consultation. We believe in discussion. And that is exactly what we're doing right now, sir. And when we go to discussion, we have to go with some kind of options to the people or to the groups. So therefore, in that discussion, the option of the MEG is also put up for feedback and information from the schools. What do you think about this? Please tell us. Can we tweak it? Can we change it? If you don't like this part, can we remove it and would you then come? Because if education can be streamlined and lesser groups and categories can be created, sir, it is beneficial for the education sector as a whole. But in the complexity of the education sector, it is not an easy task. And that's why, the reforms that we're doing are one by one, piece by piece, and we're moving forward. So therefore, in this entire issue, sir, we have no intention to bulldoze, sir. No intention to bulldoze, no intention to go and just simply take over all the schools, no intention to stop deficit pattern, no, sir. But since demands have come, it is the duty of the department and the government to examine, to explore, to discuss, and that is what we are doing right now. And based on the discussion, we will then further examine the matter and see how to move forward. So, sir, I would like to put to rest this confusion that is there among the people that we are going to stop the deficit pattern. Absolutely no, sir. Number two, the fact that the government is going to forcefully take over the school's assets and property, absolutely not, sir. We will not do it. We will never, go into that line of forcefully taking. But since queries have come, we are examining, sir. We are discussing. And then say suppose everybody says, yes, it's a good idea. Then we'll take it further and see how to move forward. So therefore, sir, in this an examination process, I think it's very clear. The MEG is not something that we have implemented. It's something we have framed. We're discussing now. And as I said, it only depends on the discussion and outcome. And I want to conclude, sir, by saying that there is no question of bulldozing a government's decision. We are going with dialogue, with discussion, and taking feedback from the different schools.
So I would like to thank the Honorable Chief Minister for his clarification, because it is not only a concept. The Education Department has already started a process giving letters to the schools, asking them to get provincialized, and in the process they have to hand over their assets, and that is the main hurdle. So now I'm clear with the explanation of the minister, and I hope that this deficit system, which has been a great help to the education in the state, will continue for the benefit of the teaching community and also the students as well.
Yes, sir. In fact, I have met many deficit school teachers and managing committees, and they have expressed to me that they are not very keen to hand over. I have told them that this is only a discussion phase. There is nothing to be worried about. There is no way in which government will do this, and I'm assuring it and giving a statement on the floor of the House as Chief Minister that we will never ever bulldoze this, but we would like to see if the solution can be found out in a way that is acceptable by all. And if it's not acceptable, we will find another way to move forward. So we're very clear, sir, this is not going to be bulldozed. We are very clear. We're not here to forcefully take over anybody's land or assets.
Babrajram Armenia, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would also like to thank the Minister concerned as well as the Honorable Chief Minister for the reply to the queries raised by my colleagues. And I just want to be enlightened with certain issues that have crept up recently as far as the Education Department is concerned, whether it is the school deficit or the college, where it seems recently there are many vacant posts, whether in the school deficit and the colleges, where from the management they have sent to the government for the approval for advertisement, but then I don't know what is the reason on the part of the government which have delayed the process of advertisement. So may I know from the Honorable Minister, what is the reason behind for the delay?
Speaker, sir. What happened is, in the year 20 August 2024, sir. So there was a letter issued from the Education Department for the applicability of the roster reservation across all the state in the deficit sanction post. Therefore, there was an order to get prior approval before the SMC to go for recruitment. But however, sir, this has created lots of time consuming, and so in the July 2025, 2 months back, so we have changed this order, and now we have Education Department has delegated the power to SMC district level to approve the roster and to go ahead for the appointment at the district level, sir.
Thank you, the Honorable Minister, for the clarification with regards to the delay. So I'm glad that the process is resolved, and there's also one clarification that I would like to seek, not just with regards to the appointment, but it has come to my notice where many of the teachers that have been appointed in different schools as well as colleges in the deficit system, where usually, as per the rule, after 2 years, they were supposed to get the confirmation. But it has come to my notice that there are many who have passed beyond the 2 years limit, some of them even 3 years, but till date, they have not received the confirmation. So may I know the reason for the delay, even with regard to the confirmation as well?
Speaker, sir, since that reply is not with me right now, since they're at a deficit system and the proposal of the college all has been approved by the government, sir, so that confirmation reply is not with me right now, sir, so I may need a notice to reply on that, sir.
Thank you. I just want the Honourable Minister to kindly look into this matter, because it might affect the service of the teachers concerned, where the confirmation has been delayed. So kindly look into this. And another point that I would like to bring before the Honourable Minister, in fact, this question I've raised previously in this August House with regards to the debt-cum retirement gratuity of the deficit teachers, both in the school and colleges. In fact, the Honourable Chief Minister at that point of time have assured me that there won't be any delay as far as the gratuity is concerned. But then again, it has repeatedly come to my notice where many teachers who have been retiring, some of them more than 5-7 years, they have not received their dues. So I'll request the Honourable Minister to take a serious note of this and to help expedite the process so that the teachers, the retired teachers, won't face any hardship as far as the financial condition of the teachers is concerned.
Speaker, sir, I agree with the honourable member, sir. Even my mother-in-law, who has been retired 6-7 years back, she is even her file still pending today. Sir, definitely I will find out the way to speed up the process at the earliest, sir.
Marinik, please.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker, sir. I want to know from the government, from the Honourable Minister, the mind of the government with regards to the infrastructure of the deficit school and ad hoc school. We have seen, I want to appreciate the government, sir, that they have really changed the outlook of government school. In so many places, the school building has been made by the government. Now I want to understand, because I have seen that the SMC of deficit and ad hoc, they are running from pillar to post for the infrastructure. So whether the government think of start initiating to help the infrastructure of the deficit and ad hoc school as well.
Sir, I'd like to take this opportunity to clarify on this issue. So the Honourable Minister, of course, has replied all the important issues. This is something more to do with the future planning of the government. So I would like to share, it's a good opportunity in this August House, that number one, sir, as correctly mentioned, close to about 2,500 government schools were in a very dilapidated condition in the last many years, sir. And close to about 5 years back, I had a meeting with the then Additional Chief Secretary, who is now our Chief Secretary, and we had discussed about the different schools. And there was a large number that was put in front of me, I think almost 2,000 crores, if I'm not wrong, where the department said that if 2,000 crores is provided to us, we can immediately repair and build new buildings in all the government schools. And obviously, sir, I was taken aback. But then we took a very, very important decision that day. We said, let us start with one step. So I said, look, we cannot give 2,500 crores or 2,000 crores to you right now. But can we start with 100 crores? And with that small step and the beginning of that journey, so today we are touching almost 1,000 crores and we have almost finished most of the government schools. There are still about 400-500 left, which we will complete, sir. Correctly as mentioned by the Honorable MLA of Mokurwat constituency, that the next step, of course, is to see how we can help the government-aided schools. So while we are going to finish the process where most of the government schools will be done, government higher secondary schools, UP, LP, as well as government colleges, almost all have been, we have saturated most of them. So we are examining very, very seriously on how the next step in order to support the ad hoc and deficit schools, in order to improve the infrastructure, is being examined very, very seriously, sir. And I can give kind of an assurance to the House that we will start the process. I cannot say it will start immediately because I would like to finish the government schools first and then go next to the ad hoc and the deficit schools. But in the meantime, there are many other ways in which, even through Chief Minister's Special Development Fund, many schools are getting support in terms of repair and maintenance, even to the ad hoc and deficit schools, because we believe that they play a very, very crucial role in the overall education sector in our state. And most of these schools, including SSA schools, so SSA schools also is in the pipeline for us. So SSA schools, ad hoc and deficit schools, the improvement of infrastructure will be taken up once we finish the government schools and institutions.
Sir, thank you so much for the reply from the Honorable Chief Minister. Sir, I have one more question I want to know also about the sanction posts in ad hoc and in deficit. To my knowledge is that even though the government has done a lot in education, but I think new sanction posts, whether in ad hoc or deficit, whether it's there or not in this last 7.5 years. So I want to suggest the government also to look into that matter, to give a new sanction post of in deficit and ad hoc as well to so many schools who are waiting on the list. Yes, I am very grateful for those schools who got the support from the government, but there are many schools who are waiting on the list to get the support, whether in terms of ad hoc or in terms of a deficit, whatever the case may be.
Sir, again, I'd like to take the opportunity to clarify, because this is again beyond the current functioning of the education department. It requires a lot of financial looking into and aspect also. Sir, just to share with the House, currently on a rough estimate, sir, I don't have the exact numbers with me, but government of Meghalaya, we spend close to about 600 crores plus minus on government institutes. So that's all our schools, LP schools, UP schools, secondary, higher secondary and colleges. We roughly spend about 600 plus minus. It must have gone up a bit in the past few months because engineering college and so many other colleges have come up. But plus minus we spend about 600 crores for government institutes. So the private institutes that are there, which are aided by the government, that's the government aided schools, which we all know as deficit and ad hoc schools. For the knowledge of the House, sir, all these schools are private schools. They are not government owned schools. Purely private, either owned by the community or in a mission or by individuals. And government supports these ad hoc schools and deficits. And we give a grant, sir. So this grant in aid is what is called deficit and ad hoc grant that we give. And for the knowledge of the House, sir, we roughly, the colleges put together, the LP school, UP school, upper primary, secondary and high secondary and the colleges, all the ad hoc and deficit schools and colleges put together, we spend roughly 1,100 crores every year as grant in aid. So for government schools, we give 600, we spend 600, but for grant in aid for ad hoc and deficit, we spend 1,100 crores, sir, roughly. So it's almost double. And it's a good thing, sir, because that's what keeps the education system vibrant, and they are contributing immensely. But the reason why I'm mentioning these numbers today in the House is that there are a lot of demands for ad hoc, additional grant for ad hoc and deficit. And we have examined this multiple times. And we have seen that the financial impact of that for the creation of those additional grants, I shouldn't say post, but additional grants to be given, will be minimum 200 to 300 crores additional. So we are already giving 1100 crores. We will have to give another 200-300 crores. That means roughly about 1300-1400 crores every year we'll have to spend. So it's a very big decision we have to take on how we can move forward. It's not an easy decision, sir. And therefore, that's the reason why there are a lot of demands. We are looking at how to improve the infrastructure in the schools and colleges, including deficit and ad hoc. So if I use this 300 crores, which every year will go out, I could transform the deficit school buildings and the ad hoc school buildings. And if we look at 5 years, that means about 1500 crores could be spent. That money could be spent on infrastructure. So that's the kind of choice that we have to make as a government. And that's the reason why, though the demands are there, and I think so many MLAs in your constituencies also, they must be pressurizing for ad hoc grant, pressurizing for deficit grant. So we are aware of it. We would want to help. The financial impact is very high. We are already giving 1100 crores to ad hoc and deficit schools and colleges. With the additional list, it could go up to 13 to 1400 crores. And that's the reason why it's not a very easy decision. But we are actively examining how we could take this forward and support the education systems.
Sir, last question, sir. Sir, thank you so much, the Honorable Chief Minister, for taking pain to answer this question, supplementation from my side. Sir, one more question is that, and I'm sorry to say this, that there are so many government school, non-performing government school in many locality, in many districts. They are not performing. There are zero enrollment or single-digit enrollment for so many years. Sir, my point is that I know it's made too difficult for the government to reply right now, but will the government examine to improve this government school by giving to the community, to the society, or to the church, or to anybody who to run the school, to see in the form of an ad hoc or in the form of deficit, instead of allowing those government school non-performing for so many years? So that's a very big question, I know, and may not be possible right now from the government, but will the government examine how to improve the non-performing school of the government itself?
Speaker, sir. Yes, true, sir. Whatever the concern of honorable members from Makarwat, yes. Many of the government, especially the government LP school at the village level, are non-performing. Many of the schools are without enrollment. So there are multiple problems and multiple challenges. And one reason is the less number of teachers, because most of the government LP school is having only 1 or 2 to 3 teachers only, having 6 to 7 classes. These are the one reason. And most of the parents used to send their children to some of the private and better schools in the nearby. So the proposal of the suggestion of the members is very, very good, sir. But however, we will explore the possibility, we will examine the matter, but sir, it is not easy. But however, sir, to improve such schools across the state, in different districts, we have done the exercise of personalization. Many of the SSA teachers from where there is no enrollment have been shifted to many of the government schools. So I don't have the detailed record up with me, so we understand the challenges. But however, government tried its best to shift many teachers from zero enrollment schools to the higher enrollment schools, sir. So we are doing all this exercise to bring out a better standard of our schools, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Roni, please.
So I'd also like to express my appreciation and gratitude to the Honorable Minister and especially to the Honorable Chief Minister for giving now priority to education from all the statement that he has given. Sir, he has stated that entails a lot of expenditure to improve the infrastructure and salaries. Sir, may I know, there was a program, externally aided program, to provide infrastructure for the schools and educational institutions that was funded by ADB. Whether that program is still, we are still availing that fund from ADB or it has stopped, sir. Just may know for the Honorable Minister or Honorable Chief Minister.
Sir, because it will not be appropriate for me to give the wrong information in the House, but I can safely say that the first phase of that particular project has been implemented already. That is complete. The second phase, in fact, is on, and we are working towards implementing the second phase. But I don't have the exact details with me right now. So the first phase, which I'm guessing the Honorable MLA from LM constituency is referring to, we have completed that first phase, and we are in the process of taking up the second phase, sir. But the exact details I will not have with me right now, sir.
Burden, please.
Sir, since Honorable Chief Minister seems to be too willing to clarify, I would like to get another clarification, sir. There is a serious problem faced by the retired deficit school teachers. I was approached by many retired deficit school teachers and even the relatives of those who had passed away. And the problem is that till today, they have not been able to withdraw their CPF. They were asked by the department, the education department, to deposit their CPF deducted from the salary to an account in State Bank of India. But till today, they are not, they are not being able to withdraw their own deducted money, which they have deposited in the SBI. So they were told now that we cannot either deposit anymore or withdraw that fund which they have deposited. And this has caused a lot of hardship because with that CPF, they use for any emergency work or even after retirement. So may I get the clarification from the government?
Sir, this is a matter that is there, of course. There are some court cases also going on. But I had met the deficit, the teachers, retired teachers who had met me on the same issue. And we have been examining this, and personal department is working on this. But at this point in time, I don't have the exact details with me. So therefore, sir, the matter is being examined and we are working on it. There was some tweaking and some kind of instructions that need to be given from the government side and some bank account details that need to be worked out. So all of that has been worked out, sir, and we expect that very soon. This has been a matter, sir, that actually was not handled in a proper manner earlier, and therefore it created a lot of confusion. So it's a kind of a thing that has been building up for a long time. But we have taken the steps now. Sir, I expect that within the next maybe 15 to 30 days time, we expect a positive outcome on this particular issue, sir.
Yes, Madam Miani, disilakan.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we all know that the responsibility of the government for the payment of salaries for the teachers in the deficit and ad hoc schools. Usually the government pays the salaries every month. But may I know from the Honorable Minister as to why there were non-payment of salaries in Southwest Garo Hills in my district for the past 3 months continuously?
Because sir, so I don't know from which category of the school, but government has already released all the salary up to date to all the district.
Mr. Speaker, sir, now I have been informed by the teachers from my district, from my constituency, that they have not received. I don't know if this has been released just yesterday or day before or this week. I don't know. Maybe it has been released. I don't know. But before the session started, I was informed that they have not received their salaries. So therefore, may I get an assurance from the Honorable Minister to see whether this matter, what is the reason for this non-release of salaries for the teachers in my district for the deficit and ad hoc school teachers.
Sir, I'll take the opportunity to also clarify a bit. So number one, I think it's very important for us as members of this House to first get the nomenclature correct, sir. So for us as a government, sir, we release the grants. So I would like request the members to use the word grant, sir. We don't release salaries. This is grant in aid. So after that, the school then pays the salaries, but we are giving grant in aid, sir. So I just wanted to make that nomenclature very clear that government aids private schools in terms of grant. That grant is of course used for salary, but from government point of view, it's a grant that we're giving them. So that's number one. Number two, sir, as been mentioned by the Honorable Minister, that the money has been released to everybody. So there could be local district issues. So that we don't deny in the sense that we are not aware about the local issues. But I'm sure it can be resolved. There's not a major problem. There could be some problems of UC, there could be problem of a DDO, there could be some powers that have to be given to the DSEO. So those kind of matters are official matters which could lead to delay in a specific district or a subdivision, sir. So we will look into it if the Honorable MLA can give the details to us. But from the state perspective, whatever had to be released from finance and from education to the concerned department or the concerned head, that funds has been released. There must be a local issue. We will definitely look into it, sir.